Hey, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to get started on what I was talking about in one of the earlier videos, the characteristic curve and POV. Now the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to divide it up into 3 chapters. Chapter 1 will be characteristic curve. Chapter 2 will be developing your own POV. And chapter 3 will be combining the two together and showing examples of how you use the characteristic curve and the POV to establish and maintain visual style, shot to shot, scene to scene, throughout an entire production. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you click on the subscribe button so you get notifications when I upload new videos. And I am going to be uploading videos every Wednesday and Saturday from this point on. So if you're a subscriber, you'll get notifications about that. And at the end of the video, if you like it, give us a thumbs up. In the meantime, let's get to it. So to kick this off, what I want to do is start off talking about the characteristic curve. And I'm going to be talking about that a lot in chapter 1, because to me that forms the basis of understanding any camera system and being able to establish any visual style. And if there's one thing you remember out of this over everything else, it's this characteristic curve. If you can see every image you create with a characteristic curve applied over it, if you can see everything you look at with a characteristic curve applied over it, you'll be 90% of the way there in being able to establish and maintain visual style. And once we go through and talk about what the characteristic curve actually is and what it does and how it applies to your camera, we're then going to apply it to the art world, and then we're going to apply it to real life situations. Now what you're seeing here is 2 characteristic curves. The yellow one is a low contrast curve, a little bit flatter. The purplish one is a high contrast curve. Now these are pretty generalizations. They're not specific curves for any particular camera. And what the characteristic curve does is it plots density against exposure. And you want all your exposure changes and your lighting changes to occur on that straight line portion. Now the curve's broken up into 3 parts. There's the knee, sometimes referred to as the shoulder. The central part is called the gamma, and the bottom part is called the toe. And that area between the toe and the knee, or the gamma portion of the curve, is the portion of the curve that you want to try to keep all your exposures on. Now when people talk about dynamic range, generally the dynamic range falls on that straight line portion of the curve. It's a little bit different to that, and we're going to get into that a little bit later on when we talk about dynamic range and latitude. But essentially you want all your exposures to fall on that straight line portion of the curve. So keep this in mind. This is your basic characteristic curve. Knee, gamma, toe. Low contrast is a little bit flatter. High contrast, a little bit steeper. And in the next video, we'll go into this in a little bit more detail.